Hello, and thanks for joining me. You know, I finally got, I have been waiting on my tickets from Washington National Opera to arrive, and they finally did a couple of days ago. And then I also have my tickets for the Virginia Opera. So I thought I'd do a quick chat just to go over what I'm going to be, what I'm going to be seeing this coming 2017-2018 opera season, because this year it's a first. So I have had a subscription before to Washington National Opera the year before last. I didn't do it last year, and I kind of regretted it. And then so this year I vowed I was going to get a subscription again, just so that it's already set and I don't have to remember to get tickets and remember to go. And then I also decided, because I found that I was able in my opera budget to fit in also Virginia Opera this year. So I got season tickets. They do 4 productions per season. So I have tickets to Virginia Opera as well. Virginia Opera performs, they do performances in Norfolk, Richmond, and Fairfax. And since I live in the Washington, D.C. metro area, or the DMV as the locals here call it, which stands for D.C., Maryland, Virginia, you know, Fairfax, Virginia is just across the Potomac River from where I live. So, yeah, I thought, why not go ahead and, since I had that in my budget, I could go ahead and add that one too. So I've got quite a lot of opera coming up. So let's get to the review. Before we do that, though, I've had several questions about how to access opera from people who maybe want to learn more about opera but haven't figured out quite how to access it yet. And true, if you just turn on a recording of an opera without any context, it might be meaningful for you just musically, but maybe not, and probably not. You know, I think that good ways to access opera is to, first of all, understand what the opera is, place it in its sort of context, what it's about. You can read up on it. The libretto is basically the story. It's the words that are sung, and so a lot of times that's easily available where you can read the libretto beforehand, and then if you have access to see an opera maybe recorded on a DVD, or even going to your local opera company live, then you know, that's even better, because then you see the whole thing. You see it, you hear it, and you can read it. Opera houses in the U.S. anyway typically have subtitles. So for the non-English operas, even the English operas will have subtitles. It's been my experience. So, you know, I would just say jump in. Opera has a very rich cultural and historical history. And so I would just say jump in and, you know, find an opera that you can sort of identify with, and start learning about it, and take it from there. So I'll talk more about that maybe a little more in future videos. But let's get to the opera hall. So let's start with Virginia. So Virginia Opera is performed at the George Mason University Concert Hall, Center for Arts there. So they sent a little booklet that looks like it contains information, subscribers information, subscriber benefits and directions and metro stops and stuff like that. But let's get to the operas. So I pulled up, Virginia Opera has nice kind of graphics for their operas. So I'll go through each opera. Here, my packet. And then I'll show you the graphic that Virginia Opera has for each opera. So the first opera that I'm seeing at Virginia Opera is October 7th, and it's Samson and Delilah. Samson and Delilah is by Camille Saint-Säens, and it's from the 19th century. It's obviously the biblical story of Samson and Delilah. It's got a famous Bacchanalia scene with the Philistines. So I've never seen this opera. I've never listened to this. Oh, I have listened to this opera. I've listened to this opera, but I've never seen it. So I'm looking forward to this very much. The next one's called The Girl of the Golden West, and this is by Puccini. So ticket. Here is the graphic that Virginia Opera has for it. This tells the story of Minnie, saloon keeper Minnie, in the Wild West of the U.S., sort of keeping the rambunctious, I think they're miners or the Westerners, under control while she, you know, I think waits for true love. So it's another one I've never listened to. A friend of mine saw that a couple of years ago and really liked it. I have not familiar with it. I'll have to do some reading beforehand. This next one is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most. This is A Midsummer Night's Dream by Benjamin Britten. This is a 20th century opera. Isn't this graphic cool? It's based on the Shakespeare play, obviously. I think this premiered in 1960. The 1960 original recording is available to listen to on Spotify, and it's one of my favorite operas to listen to. And I've never seen a DVD of it, or seen it live. So I am looking forward to this so much. Actually, this is why I saw Virginia Opera was doing this, and this is what drew me in to getting this season subscription, because I knew I was going to see that. I didn't want to miss it. Finally, at Virginia, I'm seeing Lucia de Lammermoor. There's a ticket. Seeing this in April. So this is by Donizetti. This is from the 19th century as well. I don't know a lot about this opera, even though it's a very famous one. I don't think I've ever listened to this opera even. So I need to do that. I'll have to do some homework on this one before I see it. I just found out, though, this is based on, I wrote it down, loosely based on Sir Walter Scott's historic novel, The Bride of Lammermoor. So I didn't know that. So that's something I've learned about this opera already. So cool. All right, so that's Virginia Opera. Let's get to Washington National Opera. This is they have the Opera House. They perform at the Opera House at the Kennedy Center in D.C. Okay, so they have some subscriber information. Welcome again. Some subscriber benefits. Discount at the bookstore, at the gift shop, I guess. Get that over there. Here is they have a nice booklet, subscriber's guide. Oh, and here we have a little pocket calendar. Cool. Put that over there. And here are the tickets. So Washington National Opera does not have a nice set of graphics like Virginia Opera did, unfortunately, that I can show you. But what I'll do is I'll go through on their website and just show you what they do have, okay? All right, so let's see. So the first one I'm seeing, first opera I'm seeing at Washington National Opera is in September, and I'm seeing Aida. This is by Verdi. This is a 19th century opera. This is actually a graphic from their production of Aida. This artist that did this production design has an exhibit going on. I saw this recently at Kennedy Center right now. So yeah, I think it's this Aida. I've listened to Aida and seen it on DVD, but I've never seen it performed live. So that's going to be a new one. All these are going to be new for me to see live. Then the next one I have is Alcina by Handel. Here is the graphic. Alcina is a sorceress who ensnares men. She's kind of a seductress, and then when she gets tired of them, she turns them into beasts and stones. And I don't know if I showed you my ticket. There it is. And she until Ruggiero comes along, and then fortunately he does fall into her snare, I think. I've never seen this opera, but fortunately he has a persistent girlfriend to come to his aid. So I'm looking forward to Alcina. I love Handel. I listen to a lot of Handel, and I've only seen The Messiah in person, and it was only a concert. So this is going to be good. So the next one I'm going to see is called Proving Up, which I think is going to be a lot of really cool, because this is a premiere. This is a world premiere. Washington National Opera does this yearly thing where they commission an hour-long opera. So this opera is only going to be an hour long, where and it's based on an American theme. And this particular one is by Missy Mizzoli, the composer Missy Mizzoli, who I've listened to some of her stuff, other stuff on Spotify. The librettist is Royce Vavrick. And I think these two work together on another opera called Breaking the Waves. Not real familiar with that. I have to do some homework on that. But anyway, this takes place in Nebraska during when the settlers were going there with the Homestead Act, and this tells the story of families sort of trying to claim their land under the Homestead Act. So that should be good. Looking forward to that. Then looks like I have actually. Didn't realize I was getting this, but I have a ticket to the Marian Anderson Award concert. I must have got this with the season subscription. the Marian Anderson Award is an opera award. I guess here in D.C., Marian Anderson was a 20th century, kind of mid-20th century, early 20th century African-American opera singer who was denied the ability to sing at the Daughters of the American Revolution Hall, which used to be the main sort of cultural venue in D.C. before the Kennedy Center. And Eleanor Roosevelt intervened in that and resigned from the DAR in protest. But this year it's going to the singer John Holiday. And there's a picture of John Holiday. So Marian Anderson Award, I'll attend this concert and I'll do a chat about it when I'm done with it and give everybody an update on what it was about. All right, so the next one I'm seeing in March, next opera, is Don Carlo. Here's a graphic from it. This tells the story of the son of the King of Spain who's in love with Elizabeth of Valois, who's been forced to marry his father, the King of Spain. So it's a love triangle between a father and son and Elizabeth. And as far as I know, I've never seen this opera. And then I think there's an Inquisition kind of element to it too. So this is another famous opera. This one's by Verdi that I have never seen. So I've never seen a video of it, DVD of it, or never seen it live, obviously. And I don't think I've even listened to it. So it's all going to be new to me. I'll do a little homework on that and then do an opera chat when I'm done. Then I have Candide by Leonard Bernstein. This is in May. There's a graphic for it there. This is based on the Voltaire play, the novella by Voltaire, the social satire by Voltaire, Candide. Bernstein did this as a 20th century thing with I think a great libretto. Part of the libretto was done by Dorothy Parker and Lillian Hellman. This started out as a Broadway thing. I think it debuted and was on Broadway for a while. It has a long production history, and then it eventually became an opera. Became operatized eventually later on. So that's got an interesting production journey towards opera that I will research. And so after I see this and do the opera chat on it, I'll have an update on that. And then finally, also in opera, I'll be finishing out the subscription year with the Barber of Seville. There's the graphic from it here. This is by Rossini. This is actually one of my favorite operas to listen to, and I have seen a DVD of a production of this opera, and I love it, absolutely love it, because I love this bel canto kind of opera. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to finally being able to see this live. And then finally, before I go, I just want to touch base about another way to access opera. If you're wondering and you don't have an opera company near you, the Met in New York does this Live in HD series, live in a high definition series, and they have a bunch of operas. This is their website. I will link to it in the details. This year they have Norma, the Magic Flute, which I've seen. I think I've seen this production that they're doing, which is wonderful. Hansel and Gretel, Tosca, La Boheme. These are all like kind of one-day things. Check out, though, I'll put that link. Check it out, because even if you live in a small town, you may have a theater that does this closer to you than you might think, because there's literally, I think, about 2,000 theaters that do this. And I think it's actually worldwide, too. So even if you don't live in the U.S., you might want to check it out just to see if it plays near you somewhere. But the one I want to call attention to is The Exterminating Angel. Just going to call that up here. This is a new opera that only premiered last year at Salzburg, and then it had its UK premiere this year, earlier this year, I think April, in the UK. There's a wonderful chat about this opera on YouTube that I will link to below. That's by... seems like it's by the Royal Opera, but so Royal Opera House. I think it's an hour long. There's a shorter, like a 4-minute kind of chat with Thomas Adés from the Met that I will also link to below. But this is based on the Louis Buñuel 1962 surrealist film, where a sort of wealthy upper middle class, I guess, people come back after an opera to a dinner party, and then they find they can't leave the room. So it's kind of got a horror element to it, and the opera has just gotten rave reviews. And so I have jotted down all of these operas in my calendar just so that I can, if I'm available that Saturday, go to, there's a cinema actually right here within walking distance of where I live that does this program, so I can, if I'm available, I'll try to catch some of these operas, but this, The Exterminating Angel, I'm definitely planning around, so I'm planning on attending that one too. So I'm going to stop with that. That's what my opera season looks like coming up for the year 2017, 2018. I will, of course, do chats after each of these. I missed a chat for one of the operas last year, Matter and Butterfly, and that has bugged me ever since. So even though I know not all that many people maybe are interested in my opera chats, I'm still going to do them. So stay tuned if you're interested, and until then, take care.